Hey guys, in this video we are gonna take this guitar that I have right here. Oh, some of you might remember this. It's my hollow Strat. It's completely hollowed out. I made a video, taking a Harley Benton guitar and turning it into a hollow Strat. Well, the truth is that I hated that neck, basically. There's no way around it. It's maybe the worst guitar neck I've ever had to deal with ever, and I hate it so much that I took it off. And now I've replaced it with this neck.
Yeah, boy.
And the reason why I did that is because I've never had a Strat. I've never had a Strat. Never had a Strat. No, I've never had a Strat with 12 strings. I've never had a 12-string Strat. And obviously I could have just popped off the neck and put on a new neck, and that would have been that. It would have been easy. It would have been 5 minutes. Detune the guitar, take the strings off, unbolt the neck, bolt on the new neck, just good to go. Maybe would have had to put tuners on the neck, if it didn't already come with tuners already on. I don't know. Maybe a little bit of fiddling if I went reverse headstock. But anyway, it's not a video. It's not interesting. What is interesting is turning it into a 12-string. No, because we're running into a conundrum, a mathematical thingamajig that we have to solve. And that is, if we look at this bridge, we need to divide the saddles for the for the string. Words, it's just not my thing. We need to divide the saddle for the string alignment of 2 strings instead of 1, and make sure that it goes, neatly across the neck. So that's why I'm jumping directly to that, because I've already switched out the pickups, and I've, already installed the tuners and all of that, because those things you don't need to see. You already know how to do all of that.
What?
But what you don't know is how to modify a bridge. Now, some of you might ask, why am I doing this? Why not build an entire guitar from scratch that is just, a 12-string? And especially if some of you saw that I do have a kit, and that kit came with a bridge, and I'm going to recycle these saddles and put it on this. And it's just convoluted. And the reason why is because you've already seen me build kit guitars. You've already seen me build guitars from scratch. You've already seen me modify everything. I have over 900 videos.
You are tearing me apart!
There's not that much left to show. But one thing that you haven't seen is the struggle of trying to figure out how to turn a guitar into a 12-string. We haven't talked that much about 12 strings. I have an acoustic guitar 12-string video as well, and I'm gonna have to do something about that neck because I don't like that one either. So yeah, but anyway, I just think this is gonna be more interesting. So if you want to just buy a kit guitar and build, a kit guitar that is a 12-string, do that. But if you're interested in how to go about this and rethink this, then yeah, this is for you. So let's jump into that. Okay? And I had something more I wanted to say, but I think I've forgotten it. Alright, so here we have the bridge, the way it is. Now, before I start, I actually remembered my other reason for doing this. I know what I'm all about, son. And that is, if you look at a Strat kit that you can buy and build your own, 12-string, or if you look at any 12-string Strats that you can buy, or at least, the ones that I could find, they don't have a trem. So we can't experiment with tremming, and 12ing. Which, I don't know if that's a good or smart or desirable thing, There are a lot of reasons why you don't want to, bend 12 strings at the same time and mess up your tuning. And that is because it's going to be hard to get back in tune. But I'm a little bit of a rascal, so I gotta keep rascling Anyway, we need to start figuring this out. Now, we can't just remove these tuners and replace them with these. Why did I say tuners? Saddles. These saddles are for 2 strings. I don't know if you can see, but one's supposed to go in this little thing here and one on the other side right there. Which means that we put them on here, then whatever that string spacing in between those are is going to be shifted. I hope you understand what it is I'm saying. But that means that every string will be slightly off. Now, I could compensate that by moving the neck or by moving the bridge. But the issue with moving the bridge is we have a cavity for the springs and everything underneath. And I can't guarantee that I won't have to like reroute or reshape or do something there. And the neck, it is where it is, and it's, there's a center line that goes straight through here. And if I tilt the neck in one direction or another, it might, doesn't have to look, but it might look really weird and off. So, it's better, or at least I think it is better, I could be wrong, to modify this bridge and make everything sort of just sit neater. There is another reason as well, and that is we have 6 holes here that goes through the trem block. Will go to the tuners, the strings. We don't have holes for the others. So what I'm hoping is by shifting these tuners, why do I keep saying tuners? By shifting these saddles, the holes that are there now will be open for strings. So we'll have a set of strings here and a set of strings on the back through here, so that we have 12 strings. So what we're going to do is we're going to start drawing some lines and trying to figure this out. So we'll start off by putting down some masking tape so that we have something to draw on across the bridge under the saddles. Something like that. You can see there I have a razor blade. I'm going to cut this down a little bit just to help myself.
1 hour later.
Something like that. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just tape. What is important is what we do next. Here we have it. I decided to experiment and see if I could find a different angle, because I realized from that angle you wouldn't be able to tell what I was really doing, but I hope you will be able to see what I'm doing from this angle. I have a cold, so I'm sucking on a tab, whatever they call it. So you're just gonna have to live with that because my throat is killing me. This is basically what we need to do. We need to replace this with this, right? But the issue is, if you look at this, this goes in, the screw and the spring is on the top side and not in the middle, which one of these would be. So this is going to have to sit there. We're going to have to tap new holes in the in-between these, basically. But we should try to be a little bit more accurate than that and measure everything out instead of just, tapping a bunch of holes and hoping that it will work. Yeah. The things that we need to think about are the following. The first thing is the size of the saddle. This measurement here, which means that we will be able to fit this because it's the same. Then we have the length of it, and it could be a little bit tricky to see. That's actually more than 2 mils, which means that we might have to move the entire bridge back as well, because it might be a little bit hard to intonate. It might seem like 2 mil here and there shouldn't be that much. We should be able to move this. Sorry. But it is actually a possibility that that's an issue. The next thing is the way this is made. I hope you can tell, but the screws here for the height sits below the point of the string alignment, or where the string would rest, while here they're equal. So we might have an issue. I mean, we will have an issue where the saddle is possibly in its own way. Let me try to explain this. We might have to raise these, you know, all the way. We might even have to come in and cut these down because this needs to come down. You know, like if I hold this up here, the leg alignment is fairly close, but I don't know if you can see, this sits like half a centimeter higher up, which means our string height might be completely off. We might even have to take these out and not have them in at all. You know, it might not even work. We might have to replace this entire thing just because, you know, it doesn't work. But we'll cross that bridge once we've destroyed this bridge right here. Yeah. What we need to do is we need to mark out where the string meets the saddle, and then we have to double check that measurement to make sure that we're not off on any of them, because if we are, then we'll throw ourselves out of alignment. So something like that. Now we can remove one of these saddles. There we have the screwdriver. Something like this then, yes. And if our calculations are, if they're right, we should have a 90 degree from these 2 points. We can check, or at least pretend like we can check, which we can do like this. We hold this up, 2, and you have to try to align it with the middle. So you have to look from this side at the middle, and that is good. Good. Now we take this saddle here and take the screw out, place it over there, pop it in here, and the screw here wouldn't align with that hole. I have to push it. How far down can we get this? If I try to get these down, because this now we're getting to the difficult part, and that is that hole that we have here needs to align in a 3-dimensional space. It's not just a placement from a top, it's also from the bottom. Like, I will not, which is what I was kind of fearing, if you follow along, that this would be able to sit flush. You can't tell maybe, but I have a lip here where the saddle is sitting. This is where having another camera would work great. But there we have a lip of 1.5 mil, which means that the best thing really would be to have a bridge that had this end piece here be higher. But that is not going to be an option, so we might have to drill those holes as high up as we can without going through the top, and then by moving the bridge back 2 millimeters or something, hoping that we can align them in a slant, which this should be able to take because you can lift the saddles, as you see, and hopefully by moving the bridge the angle will sort of become a very shallow slope that doesn't mess up our intonation. We might also have to take these out because, as you can maybe see, if I have something to poke this with, our string is lying there and we'll go all like into this basically. So we might have to remove these or cut them down to the point where they are basically just little
tiny stubs. But yeah, so if I put this up here, I can see that the other hole needs to be basically right next to the old one and a little bit above. So let's measure that out. I'm going to take a piece of tape and I'm going to put it here on the pickguard, and I'm gonna write down things. It's just out of frame, but you don't actually need to see me write. You just need to know what it is I'm writing down. So I'm gonna write 8 for height, because I think that's a good idea. And height is gonna be from the bottom to the saddle. So like this. So if I put this up here, we can get away with... Can we get away with a 5 mil? This is a 8 mil. So I think we're gonna have to go to 5 mil. 4 would be ideal because that's the middle. So if we go to 5, we will be next to the hole but slightly above it. So I'm gonna write 5 mil from bottom. Cool. No, and then I'm gonna take a measurement of the hole, which would also be an age, but we'll call it screw. So screw is this. So over the threads we have a 3 mil. I'm just writing that down, and that's the size of the hole, so that we don't drill a hole that this can't go through. And now we have to measure the distance between these two holes so that we can align the middle of this hole with the new hole, which is going to be a little fiddly to do. We have to measure this first, though, to make sure that we divide this correctly. Actually, if you put it, you will find the middle directly. You don't even have to measure, you can just see. So there the saddle has to sit, and that is a little bit, that's crazy close. I'm gonna measure it from the edge of this instead, I think. Just because I think that's gonna be easier. So that's from the edge, so I'll show you on another bridge here. It's easier to measure holding it to the edge here and cutting across to this side than it is to try to pinpoint the middle of the hole. But I will always find the edge here because I can always just fall up against it. And that's an hole edge. All right, HS for hole screw, and we're at 5 mil there as well. All right, now we should have that measurement and just replicate that on everything. I'm going to take this and just put this to the side. Now we need to not only take the bridge out, but also take all the saddles out of the bridge. All right, so before we go any further, I'm going to plug these 6 holes. I think there's 6 holes, right? Yeah. Because I might as well do that now and let this, leave this to dry. And we have a 2 mil oversize on the saddles, and I'm not going to be able to align it correctly anyway because of the size of the saddles. So I might as well try to basically I feel like moving the whole bridge back is gonna do me good. I'm just gonna take these little wooden plugs. These are just, bamboo skewers for your grill party thing that you're doing here. So cool. Yeah. And I'm just tapping them in with my little carpenter hammer here. Splooched a little glue, and I'm just gonna tap these in. First, I just tap them in a little bit, as you can see, just so that they are going in. And then I'll come back, and when I get close, you can see how my hammer will cover, but it will also hit the pickguard, and I don't really want that. So I'm gonna take my needle punch. This is a tool that I use quite often in guitar building, I feel like. Don't see many other do it, but what's good with this is if you need to punch something and you don't want the edge of the hammer to hit something else, like when you're making furniture, it's perfect. Something like that. Put this back, get myself a little bit of tissue paper and just get rid of that glue. Something like that. And then I'm just going to feel it and punch it down a little bit more, just so that it feels flush. Something like that. And then we'll leave that to dry. Here we have the bridge, and here we have a piece of tape, and I'm going to cover up the back here. Just something like this. A little bit more even. Gotta be a little even Steven, or whatever it's, you know? Something like that. Now we have something we can draw on and make alignments on. So, if we put this on a piece of wood, like this, then we have a perfect alignment. Now we just need to find our hole height. We're measured from the back, right? Yes, so we need a 5 mil. So let's push this to 5 mil. There we go. And let's see if we can get in here. I'm gonna score something like that. Hold this flat. Come up with my pen. Just there we go. There we have our line. Let's double check that. That is not 5. Or is it? Yes, it is. That is 5. How much do we have? Because we're gonna drill a 3mm hole, which means we need 1.5 mil on each side, and we need something to spare. So if this is almost 3 mil, it's gonna get pretty tight. But yes, okay. Let's poke these holes in the tape, and as I said, I measured from the edge, so I'll put this to 5 mil because that's what we measured. Yes, this is why it's good to write things down. So from the inside of this hole to the line, that's 5 mil. It's right there, 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 there. Am I moving this now? And there. I'm just gonna go and double measure, something like that. It might be a little bit hard for you to see this, but basically I'm scoring the tip of this. I don't know, if I move this, maybe the reflection will catch, because there are like, in between the holes, there's like a little mark that is the scoring of these meeting up, basically. So I push this edge here against the hole, so you can see that holes on this side, like I'm against the edge of the hole. And there, because that's what I did when I did the measurement. And now, so here's my punch. I'm gonna hold this up to the wood, like so. And I'm gonna try to really get in there. I hope you can see what I'm doing. It is small, but if I align those two lines then, something like that. Okay, let's take the tape off. And let's see what we got. I'm not super happy. Okay, first off, are the holes 5 mil from the bottom? So I hold it up to the wood like this, so you can see the bridge. And I measure from the bottom. Yes. Okay. Are they the same distance? I don't need this for that. Actually, it's in the way. Are they the same distance from the edge of the inner corner, or not inner corner, but the inner side there of the... Yes. That one is a little slanted, but maybe I can fix that a little. If I just repress these and I just hold it. If you're off by like 1/2 mil or something with this tool, what you can do is you can angle it in the right direction, and by doing that you can change the direction to make it a little something like that. Okay, good. Okay, so I have a piece of wood here, and I'll place my bridge on it like this. I hope you can see what I'm doing. I hope I'm not out of frame. I'll align my holes with the punch mark, and I'll pre-drill them with 1.5 mil, and then I'll drill them with the 3 mil. And just go slow like that, and then just do all of them. Alright, so we have an issue that I thought maybe we could get past, but we can't get past it.
Dun dun dun!
And I'm going to try to explain it so you understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because we have to rethink everything and start over, basically. So it's kind of annoying, but that's just the way it is, you know. Sometimes you do something, it doesn't turn out the way you want it, and you have to just rethink things. So here is the Telecaster bridge, and here is a saddle, and it would sit fairly nice like this, you know. Hope you can see what I'm showing you. But when we try to move it over to this, even though I measured and drilled the holes, some of them got messed up, but that's okay because I have a replacement right here, so I could just do it again. But I tried it, and I need even more wiggle room. It doesn't matter, you know, like just getting barely the amount there doesn't help, because you have a screw that sits here to adjust the intonation for this string here, and that little gap will be enough to bend the saddle up like this, you know, and I will just, it doesn't work. We can't do that. We can't have it like that. So what I need to do is I have a piece of stainless steel actually right here, and it came pre-bent at a 90 degree, or at least somewhat at 90 degree. I might have to whack it. But anyway, this is really hard. It's actually harder than this. This I can, you know, with great force, bend with my hands if I really want to. Or at least I think I can. I'm not going to try it, because, I mean, like, we can use this for something else at some point. This I can't. This is 1/2 mil thinner, but it is several mils or more harder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a new bridge out of this, and I'm going to show you just a little bit. I'm going to use an angle grinder to cut it out, but I won't show you the angle grinding because it's just not going to, you know, it's not going to matter. And I'm going to try to make it, you know, as close to as I can. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this part here to be a copy of this bridge right here. But then instead of do this upper part here, instead of cutting this thin piece here out there, I'll make a copy of this bigger part here from that. So it will be a new bridge that is a blend between both. And it wasn't what I wanted to do, because I wanted to show like how to modify it, but I would have to get a new bridge. Anyway, I'm gonna just take the bridge and place it here somewhere where you can see what I'm doing. And I'm gonna take this bridge here. And the question is, does it matter? Because I'll basically just give myself a little bit extra string alignment. So I think that's okay. Yeah, I'm gonna just put this here like so, and I'm gonna hold it in the middle like so,
And I'm just going to trace around it. And trace in the holes.
10,000 years later.
And then I'm just going to be very careful not moving it and do the middle one as well. Okay, so I'm gonna take my angle grinder and sneak up on this line and cut it out, the outer one. I'm gonna take this punch and I'm gonna center all these holes and I'm just gonna punch these. I'll be back once I've cut around this edge with the angle grinder, sneaking up on this line, and I'll stop just by the line, because then I can do the last bit with some sanding and, you know, making the edge all nice and crisp. Alright, so now I've cut the general shape, you know, out. I am like very close to the line I drew out. I don't know if you can tell, I mean maybe you can. The line is, like, this edge is very rough, and if we leave it like that and we play this, we are gonna hurt ourselves. So now we just need to take a file, fine-toothed metal file, and just I'm just gonna go around and I'm just gonna file this to be even closer. And yeah, just smooth this out. You see this burr here, for example, maybe you see this burr. Just gonna knock that off. I'm not gonna bother like making this perfect right now, because we need to cut into this upper part too, and I'll finalize everything when I'm finalizing everything all around. But I do want to get this down to its proportions before I start messing with this upper part, because this upper part needs to be modified to fit the in between both parts. I'll show you in a second what I mean. First, I'm just gonna clean this up. Something like that. Yes. Okay, so now I'm just going to screw this back into place after drilling all these holes and rounding them over and everything, just to make sure that the string alignment is correct, because if it's not, then I have to either remake this or I have to see if I can adjust it. And I'd rather make sure all of that is done correctly before moving on than doing all of that and finishing it and then realizing that it's not working out. So something like that. I screw them in, I tighten them down, at least somewhat. I might put like Loctite or something. Okay, so now it's on, and I can see that hole there is a little crooked, so I'm gonna see if I can find an arm and screw in there to see if it's a problem or not. But this is my least worries. If I hold it up to the light, which you're not going to be able to tell, but then I'll be able to like look through these holes and see if there is any light coming through, and that looks good. I think those will pass. The strings will pass. So yeah, I'm going to just check that arm, but when I come back, we're going to do this part up here. So yeah, I'm going to probably also round this over a little bit, because after taking off the tape, I feel like this is a little sharper than I want it to be. So, quick little round over. So here I have it now, and I've drawn out a center line. It is the center from this part and not the entire part, because on a strat this part here hangs out over the side, and that's where the
the trem arm goes in. I have also checked this hole and the trem arm works. I could just sort of finesse this a little bit and press it around and make it fit. So I have the bridge here. I have measured out and center line on this one and cut it to size. And now I just need to peel this one back and align this here with this center line here and this edge up here, like this. And this is what I mean with why I didn't cut the sides, because for example you can see right here a little bit of this hangs over, but on this side it really doesn't go all the way. So I just wanted to be sure. Now I'll just take my punch, fix all these holes here and drill them out. So see you in a bit.
An eternity later.
Alright guys, so this whole thing, to be honest, was supposed to be like a 5-minute craft video. Just showing you like, oh, look at this, you can just derp it, derp it, derp it, derp. You measure out a little bit of here and you drill a couple of holes over here and then you've got a 12 string.
Life is life.
And it's become an entire day. Yeah. It's, you know, when you're trying to do stuff and you're trying to make them accurate and you're thinking about like, you know, the 1/10 of a millimeter or whatever, you know, it is yeah. it takes the entire day. If you like this video, you better give me a like for this because I've been slaving away. Anyway, here it is. Now, I hope you can see that it looks pretty much like the other plate. Let me see if I can find it. You know, they're pretty much identical if you look at them like that. I hope you can see them. And then, you know. But then, obviously, this has the double row of holes that I copied from the other bridge and all that. So, I've also, which I didn't film because then I would have to edit it. And just thinking about editing this. Yeah. Anyway, I've countersunk all the holes. Everything is smooth. There isn't a single sharp edge anywhere here. Except maybe right there, maybe. Wait, what? I'm gonna have to countersink that again. Basically, you just take a drill bit that is even bigger and you just give it a super tiny little nudge so that the burrs that are sticking up get like flared out. Anyway, now I'm gonna try to clean off all the residue of tape. You can see some dark parts. It's just residue from tape.
Yeah, boy.
Gonna clean that off with a little bit of soap and water. And then I'm gonna sand this up to 1200. And then I'm gonna buff it. Because I'm hoping that, because I mean, this is stainless steel, but I'm hoping that will give it as close of a look, you know, to chrome as I can get, you know. Because all the other parts are chrome, and I kind of want to make them look like they fit together. If I can't do that, then this is just gonna have to be one of those guitars that don't look but ugly, you know?
I'll give you one of these.
I don't think you need to see me sand. Maybe you do. You can write comments below, let me know. I have a video about sanding, actually. Or a couple, maybe even. Anyway, I'll see you real soon once I've sanded this. And yeah, bye. Alright, so here we have it now. I screwed it back on to this, the claw thing, whatever it's called. I know what it's called, I think. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And it's just so that I can hold it. I don't really care about polishing the back underside here. It doesn't matter to me. What matters is the face of it, the edges around it, and the back where the screws are going to go in. So I have a wheel here, and I'm just going to try this out and see how it goes. Bringing you along for the ride. Someone is probably going to say, why waste all this time on this tiny little block? This block, that's the easy part. If this all works out and it's fine, I can replace this, you know. Just take the measurement. You'll find a replacement on
Amazon or on StewMac or eBay, whatever, you know. It's gonna be easy to replace, and I might do it one day. We'll see. But now, time for this. So yeah, let's just see what happens. Ah, caught it in my shirt. Am I able to polish this up? I mean, it feels really smooth. I think maybe. I mean, I get somewhat of a shine. I'm gonna keep working on this, and I'll be right back once I've polished it to the point where I feel like maybe I don't need to polish anymore. Okay, so after some buffing, see how dirty I got. I feel like this is a pretty shiny and nice piece. It's, you know, it's not perfect, but it does look like chrome. I don't think it's gonna stick out once we put it all together too much. So I'm gonna call this a win, and we're gonna move on to the last thing we have to do to this before we can, you know, put the new saddles on and all of that. Like, look at that. Isn't that kind of cool? Like, it fits. I mean, like, it isn't chrome, it's stainless steel, but it fits together. I can't really move the guitar. Maybe I can move you guys. Whoa. I can't really move you either. Everything is on lockdown. It's Corona all over again. But it fits. And I'm gonna have to put it up against here, I think, because, yeah, you know, the alignment is wider than before. It's just a bigger piece. But, yeah, I just wanted to show you because I put it in there, and I'm just kind of happy with my work, you know? But we have one thing more we have to do. So let's go back into the video and get that out of the way. All right. So here we have my belt sander. We gotta do the last part, which is the edge here. If we look at the other bridge, we have an edge here. So I'm gonna try to get a little bit of an edge here. We'll see how far we go, or if we even get there. I'm gonna hold a lolly on the underside so that I naturally get an angle. Start up this and lock it and just go crazy. So the last thing I do before I put on strings and the string tree and try to tune this is this bridge needs to be screwed down. So I'm gonna push it away from the pickguard just a little bit because, I mean, we've worked on this being a wham, a tremolo thingamajig, so it would be good if we could actually use it. And if you have it directly up against the pickguard, it's going to be like a little fiddly to move. So I'm going to push it back a little bit. We have those extra 2 mils that I was talking about, which is the reason why we plug those holes. We have those in
the back of this just because we drew this out and pushed everything back, if you remember earlier in the video when we drew this out. So we don't actually need to like resize anything, but I want to drill new holes, and since everything is, you know, new holes will be good either way, because the old ones are they're not gonna line up. So there we have, with it all marked out, our new holes. Let's take this one and put it to the side. I'll put it over there for now. Okay, let's drill these holes. And what's good about using an awl is that now we have found the holes really quickly. We didn't have any weird things happening, and we can just go to screw these in. So we just take our screws, and first we just take the drill and we just tighten down the very first ones, the outer ones. And we start off by getting them down so that they are past the part that is a screw. And then we just tighten them down the rest of the way. And we stop just as the head is starting to touch the bridge. We hand tighten them the very last bit, just to make sure we don't over tighten something. We're going to have to go back and forth here a little bit because we need to put on the springs in the back. But first we can put down these other screws as well, and I'll put them like 0.5 mil higher than the outer two, just because those two we finalize first, and once we're happy with those, we bring everything down to that, because those are the levels that matters. The rest are just for stability. So one last thing before I put strings on this and we play it and see if it even works. If you have put these two screws where you like them to be, and you want to make sure the other ones are not, if you find it hard to adjust these basically to be the same height, if you can't eyeball it correctly, take a feeler gauge and just feel what sort of height you have. Make sure you can get in under, and just adjust them to that. That's another way you can do it, and sometimes even though it's a little bit more work, that's the way to do it. Okay guys, so here is the guitar and now, and I think it looks pretty cool. I like it. I put the strings on that came with the kit. They're not the best, but I don't know what I want or what I want to do. So it's a great thing that you get some strings that you can just put on and experiment with. So a couple of things before we play the guitar that I just want to mention and talk a little bit about. So first off, I haven't intonated the guitar yet. I want to stretch the strings and just play around a little bit. I also haven't set the action. It's a little bit too high right now out of the box. The neck also needs a little bit of adjustment because it's bowing. But I want to leave the strings on and play it for a couple of hours, maybe a day, before I go to check what I want to do and finalize it. But I'll do that after this video at some point. You can hear the guitar and, you know, all of that. Everything works. So, you know, just keep that in mind as things when you go to build a 12 string that, you know, it is more tension, and it's a lot more tension actually, I've noticed. So that leads me on to my next part. I've blocked the trem.
Oh God! Please no! No!
I cut out a little piece of wood and I plopped it in there. And that's because when I set the trem up to be the way I wanted it to be in regards to my other strats, you know, I just couldn't get the tension from pulling the arm to be nice enough. And it was just one of those things where I felt like if I block it, everything is going to be better than if I try to just work around this. So, in the long run, I would say that everything I've done is kind of stupid.
I regret nothing. The end.
This entire video and everything, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It probably would have been better to just turn that right-handed kit into a left-handed guitar and just had a new guitar and just bought a new neck for this guitar. But I'm really happy with this guitar. I think it looks really cool. I love strats, so having a 12-string strat is maybe the best thing for me. That leads me on to my next part, which I don't know if you can see it because the camera is a little bit weird, the angle. But anyway, the guitar is incredibly neck heavy. So if I hold it just like this, maybe you can see it starts to go down. It's not an issue, but I wish I had thought about that. And maybe, you know, if you are right-handed, you won't have an issue because this kit is from Guitar for Music, and they have a 12-string strat kit and a tele kit, and you could just buy the strat kit if you want a strat and go with that. I don't know. There's no left-handed option, and that's just the thing. Another thing is the saddles they're made for their string, which means that on the E string here, you will not be able to tell from this video, but the way they sit is at an angle because you're gonna strum and hit them, but it will be reversed when you're left-handed. So one string will be under the other instead of above it, which means it's a little bit hard to pick at both the E strings on the high E. It's not as bad on the B, but you will tell on the B as well. It gets leveled out a little bit because of the thickness of the strings when you get to the other strings that are not just two strings that are the same string. But it is an issue. So yeah, I kind of want to go off the guitar like this at a slope because that's how we play. But you kind of have to go inward instead. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, if you're a right-handed guitar player, I don't suggest doing what I'm doing here. This is more a necessity, maybe, at this point. You're not going to run into all these issues just buying the kit and just putting it together. But yeah, I know that might make it all seem meaningless or worthless, but I think this is a cool guitar. I think that it's a nice color. I'm really proud of myself to make this blend in as well as it does, because faking chrome is harder than you might think, and sanding stainless steel is a whole lot harder than you might think. So I'm happy that I managed to do as good of a job as I did in the end. Another thing is, the string height, the neck. I might have to shim the neck a little bit, which is just a question of the calculated mass that is pulled by the strings, and that's not being calculated over a 12 string. A lot of people, including the people that probably make this kit, don't account for the fact that the mass of the strings will pull more. So the neck needs to be stronger. This is probably just a regular neck. I don't think it's going to break, but I think I'm going to have to adjust the truss rod more often than maybe I would want to. I'm going to quickly tune the guitar because the strings are new and, it's pretty cold in here, so it's not a perfect space for strings. But then I'm going to plug it into the amp and play it. I also want to just say that I picked out these pickups in this guitar for one reason. And that is that cheaper strat pickups that are older, like 80s, 90s pickups, they are usually a lot thinner. And an issue that I've come across with my acoustic is that the thicker strings, they are very muddy. To the point where I'm thinking of maybe removing a set of strings there so that it's a 9-stringed guitar or whatever. Something like that instead, just because the bass frequencies are just not responding particularly well. But I feel now that I have these thinner pickups, the guitar has the clarity and sounds the way that I want it to. So it's a nice in-between, you know, because without the 12 strings, these pickups are too thin and brittle and too much highs, you know, to be good pickups. But now with the added frequency, whatever you want to call it, of the 12 string, I feel like they work really well, and I feel like they will cut through a mix and be really good. I am doing this because I am getting back into the studio. I'm not getting into a studio, but I was, as I said in the beginning of the year, I'm going to try to make more music. And so I was thinking I'd try to make things that are in the vision of what I want for the album I'm going to record. So I made a pedal as an experiment for this album that I'm going to start working on soon. And I needed a guitar as well. And so I was thinking 12 string is really cool. I'm going to make a video on the sort of album if you're interested in like my thoughts about the music I'm going to start making and you want to just have a sneak peek in. So there's a video coming soon. But yeah, this guitar is I can't say that it's the greatest guitar or the best guitar or that any of you would enjoy playing this guitar, but at the moment it is filling that headspace that I was looking for in regards to the music that I'm planning. So I'm really happy about that. I'm also and I feel like I can tell you, I've sneaked around about it a little bit here and there, but I'm going to also make a bass for that album. Because I haven't been paying attention to basses in my personal life or on this channel or anywhere, you know. Like I have one bass, it's on everything I've ever done. And I feel like it's time. I mean, I have a ukulele bass as well. It's also been on some things that I've done. And I've sort of jumped between those two. But I'm going to make a bass just for this record, and then we'll see if I keep it after that. But yeah, I have a silly idea that I want to experiment with, and I think it's going to affect the way things sound. So look forward to that. It's going to be coming soon as well. Or at least I'm going to start working on it soon, and then we'll see when the video comes. But yeah, I also need to do a little bit of pedal work because I don't want it to be too much guitar related on this channel. You know, I've told you this before. A little bit of pedal, a little bit of guitar, a little bit of pedal.
Well, we're waiting.
Okay, so I've tuned the guitar. I just have the sort of standard everything, you know, standard tuning, and then the every other string, the thinner ones, are slightly detuned. So yeah, amp is on. This is the neck pickup. And here is the in-between, so the middle and the neck pickup. And then here is the middle pickup all on its lonesome self. Yeehaw! And then here is the middle and the bridge pickup, which, you know, I know you all love. I never used this one, but sure. I don't know. And the bridge all alone. So, yeah, do I have anything fun to play?
No.
Yeah, that's it. I think a 12 string is something you should try. If you have never played if you've never played a 12 string, I can't speak. You should probably try one. Anyway, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. If you like the video, don't forget to like it. And talk to me in the comments below. Let me know what you think about 12 strings and what you think about a new cool guitar. It's not completely new, but I like it. Anyway, until next time, don't forget to stay awesome and cool and go and play some 12 string. I think that's enough of that, don't you? Ooh, yeah.
Double whammy!